Behind the glass of a museum in Florida sits a doll that feels less like an exhibit and more like a prisoner. His name is Robert. And if you stare into his eyes, he might just answer you with a curse. It all began in the early 1900s, when a boy named Robert Eugene Otto received this fabric doll as a gift. He gave it his own name. And soon, Robert became his constant companion and secret confidant, but the family and servants soon noticed strange things, whispers from Robert's room even when the boy was asleep. Servants swore they saw the doll moving from room to room on its own. And at times, its expression seemed to change. After Robert Eugene Otto's death in 1974, the doll was donated to the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. And this is where the nightmare went public. Visitors reported feeling chills, shortness of breath, and seeing movement in their peripheral vision while near the doll. But the most terrifying part was the letters. The museum began receiving thousands of letters from around the world. People confessed that after mocking the doll, showing it disrespect, or even taking photos without permission, they were hit with severe misfortune, car accidents, sudden illnesses, job loss, even the deaths of loved ones. Today, the museum has a formal rule: you must ask Robert for permission before photographing him. Staff say those who break this rule get blurry photos. Or something far more frightening appears in the frame. Is Robert truly haunted? Or is this all just an elaborate urban legend? Perhaps. But when there are thousands of documented accounts, it might be wise to heed this small warning: don't stare into Robert's eyes, lest he stares back into yours. This antique mirror doesn't just show your reflection. It shows you who's standing right behind you. In one of America's most haunted houses, there is a mirror that never rests. They call it the Myrtle's Plantation Mirror, and it's said to trap the spirits of murder victims within its glass. Visitors report seeing strange faces next to their own reflection, and sometimes, a handprint appears on the surface, as if pushing from the other side. Behind the glass of a museum in Florida sits a doll that feels less like an exhibit and more like a prisoner. His name is Robert. And if you stare into his eyes, he might just answer you with a curse. She poisoned a cake with oleander leaves, hoping to make the family just sick enough that she could nurse them back to health and be forgiven. But her plan went horribly wrong. The poison was fatal, and it took the lives of the mistress, Sarah Woodruff, and 2 of her children. There was an old Southern tradition: after a death, all mirrors in the house must be covered to prevent the spirit from getting trapped. But someone forgot to cover this large mirror in the foyer. Many believe the spirits of Sarah and her children were forever sealed inside the glass. That's why the strange sightings began: the apparitions of a woman and 2 children seen beside living visitors in the mirror's reflection. And the most chilling evidence of all, the persistent handprint. They've even replaced the entire glass pane, but the handprint always returns, as if someone on the other side is still trying to reach out. This is not a chair. It's a death sentence made of wood. For over 300 years, its curse has been simple: sit down, and you will die a sudden, violent death. This is the story of Busby's stoop chair. The story begins in 1702, in the town of Thirsk, England, with a man named Thomas Busby. He was a ruthless highwayman and murderer, sentenced to hang for his crimes. Legend says that just before his execution, Busby sat in his favorite chair at the local inn for one last drink. He placed a curse, swearing that anyone who dared to sit in his chair after him would meet a terrible end. And so, the chair's dark reputation began. It stayed in the inn for centuries, becoming a morbid dare, especially during World War II. Canadian airmen stationed nearby would drink at the pub, and the story goes that those who were brave or foolish enough to sit in Busby's chair never returned from their bombing missions. Their planes would crash, or they would vanish. But the curse didn't stop with the war. In the 1960s and 70s, reports continued. 2 young airmen sat on the chair. Hours later, they died in a car crash. A construction worker who mocked the curse fell to his death. A truck driver who sat for a photo was killed in an accident shortly after. Even a cleaner who merely stood on it to dust died of a sudden brain hemorrhage. The tales of misfortune piled up, over 60 alleged deaths linked to the chair. Fear became so great that the pub owner, tired of the morbid attraction, finally took action. In 1978, the chair was removed for good. It wasn't destroyed. Instead, it was given to the local Thirsk Museum, where it remains today. But they are taking no chances. You won't find it on the floor. To ensure no one ever tempts the curse again, Busby's stoop chair is permanently suspended from the ceiling, so it hangs there, empty and untouched. A silent, wooden prisoner of its own dark legend. A final, chilling question remains: is it just a story, or is some curses are better left unbroken? In Nottingham, England, there's a museum built on top of a graveyard. Staff refuse to work night shifts. A 400-year-old skeleton exploded on camera. Visitors say something in the basement doesn't want them there. This is the Museum of Curiosities. In October 2024, at 3 a.m., the museum was empty. A 16th-century skeleton worth £12,000 was standing in a corner. Then, without warning, it shattered into dozens of pieces. No earthquake. No one touched it. Owner Steve Wesson said, it exploded for absolutely no reason. Months earlier, security cameras captured thick white mist filling an empty room. No source. No vent. It appeared from nowhere, stayed 30 seconds, then vanished completely. Staff have been pushed down the stairs, hard enough to lose balance, with no one behind them. In April 2025, 2 TikTokers visited. Adam walked into a room and felt instant sharp pain in his chest. He stepped out, felt fine, then went back inside. Then he heard a voice, "You are not welcome here." His friend saw a white orb emerge from Adam's chest. Adam cut the investigation short and has never returned. Down in the underground cave sits a small wooden box. Inside? A demon. At least, that's what the collectors who sold it claim. Next to that box, embedded directly into the brick wall, are human ashes. Mixed into the mortar. Sealed inside the museum itself. No one knows whose ashes they are. Visitors describe the air down there as suffocating. Some refuse to go down at all. Steve's most prized possession is a book from the Enfield haunting, the real case that inspired The Conjuring 2. This book was on the shelf in the actual house during the poltergeist attacks. Inside are handwritten notes. Steve keeps the contents private. He says some things are better left unknown. So if you ever visit Nottingham, don't stay after dark. The alarms go off at 3 a.m. The mist keeps appearing. And somewhere behind that brick wall, the ashes are still waiting. In a small museum in Connecticut, behind a glass case with a warning sign, sits a Raggedy Ann doll. She looks harmless. But paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren called her the most evil object in their collection. Her name is Annabelle. And her story has terrified people for over 50 years. In 1970, a nursing student named Donna received the doll as a birthday gift from her mother. At first, nothing seemed wrong. But soon, strange things started happening. Donna and her roommate Angie would come home to find the doll in different positions. Legs crossed. Arms raised. Things they didn't do. Then they started finding handwritten notes in the apartment that said, "Help us," and "Save me." No one knew where they came from. A friend named Lou didn't believe in ghosts. He made fun of the doll. One night, Lou had a nightmare. He woke up to find the doll at the foot of his bed. Then it started crawling up his body and tried to choke him. Another time, Lou was alone in the apartment when he heard movement in Donna's room. He opened the door. No one was there. But suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. When he looked down, his shirt was torn and 7 claw marks were scratched into his skin, drawing blood. Donna contacted the Warrens for help. Through a psychic, they discovered the truth. A demon wasn't pretending to be a little girl. It was using the doll to try and claim a human host. Its real target was Donna. Ed and Lorraine took the doll away. On the drive home, their car kept stalling. The brakes failed. The steering wheel stopped working. Ed threw holy water on the doll, and the car returned to normal. They took back roads the rest of the way. Today, the Annabelle doll sits in a glass case at the Warrens Museum in Connecticut. A sign on the case reads, "Warning, positively do not open." The museum has been closed to the public since 2019, but the doll remains locked inside. Visitors who mocked her in the past reportedly died in car crashes on the way home. A priest who insulted her crashed into a tree. Even now, people who get too close say they feel watched. And sometimes, they say her expression changes when no one is looking.